Okay, tonight we're in for another treat. We have a special speaker tonight, Janet, and I apologize. I don't know if you want your last name out here or not, but anyways, she has a phenomenal testimonial on diabetes. The story that I heard, and you probably have a whole lot more to tell us than that, but that's the part that Mary told me that I'm just like, wow. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can start wherever you want and just tell us your story and the improvements and the help that you've had with our products.
Okay. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes about a year ago, and was taking that medication that they gave me, and it caused me all kinds of problems. And I started doing soy protein in the morning, and then I did the glucose regulator, and that was about 6 months ago. So I had an A1C at that time at 7.6. When I went back to the doctor in December, my A1C had gone down to 6.7. And in January, the first part of January, decided I was going to eat better. So I went on the cleanse for the 7 days, which was amazing. It wasn't easy, but I can't eat all that sweet stuff anymore, or a lot of like red meat. I'm completely off of that. No more soda, no more pop, any of that kind of stuff. My blood sugar in the morning, I could never get down below the fasting blood sugar below 158. And since doing the cleanse and eating better, it's down, and I continued with the Herbalax and the alfalfa, and I have it down now to 133 in the morning. So I'm looking forward to February when I go for my next A1C to see, how much better it is from 6.7. I lost 6 pounds on the after the cleanse, and I now have started the 180. I purposely haven't weighed because I want to wait for a while to get some better results, total numbers. So that's where I'm at. So I'm still taking the glucose regulator, doing the protein shakes, the 180 program now, and feeling a lot better.
That is awesome, Janet. So how many times a day do you take that glucose regulation?
Just one at night.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. And how do you feel differently?
I have more, since the cleanse, I have more energy. I sleep better. I don't take naps in the afternoon because I don't feel like I need them anymore.
That is.
I just feel so much better.
That is awesome. Questions from anybody else? Had you used Shaklee before? When did you say
Yes.
you started? Oh, you had. Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And
I mean, off and on. I wasn't a real, use everyday person, but now I am.
Isn't that interesting? We have to wait until we get
Yep.
sick. And then it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Help me.
Exactly.
That's huge, though, just in the 6 months. So are you on the medication yet?
Yes, I am. I'm on a different medication. I'm on glympyride, but I think the glucose regulator, does as much. I'm on both. I'm not going to give up my prescription just yet. No. I was on metformin, and I had all kinds of problems with the metformin and the diarrhea issues, and so he switched me to this other. But getting the numbers down, I think, was the glucose regulator and the protein shake.
Yes, that is awesome. That is awesome. I have a nephew who has a little kid that's 4 years old, and he became a type 1 diabetic, and he started on the product. Actually, the only thing that he added in was Liquilee and the glucose regulation and the protein. They could not normalize his blood sugar for nothing. Even though he was on the drugs, they were so high. And then he added the Shaklee products to it. His mom was opposed, but finally the dad talked her into it because his mom has been in Shaklee for many years. He started on the products, and now his blood sugar is just as normal as can be, and he looks forward to taking that all the time. For that
That's great.
Yes. So it's amazing that glucose regulation. We're privileged to have it. Any other questions from you? PJ, go ahead.
I think. Okay. I have a question and then something else I want to share about diabetes. The question is, what diet changes did you make, and have you done a lot of refined carbohydrates before, like the sugars and the white flours and stuff, and have you pulled away from those?
Yeah. Since the cleanse, I don't do the sugars. I still do the fruits and vegetables. I have added the protein back, and I'm doing the 180, so I'm eating more sensibly. And yeah, I don't do the pops and the sugars and the junk food like I used to. And I credit that to the cleanse, because in fact, about a week after the cleanse, I was dying for a hamburger. So I made a hamburger, and I could only eat about 2 bites, and it just felt like a big rock in my stomach. Wow. And I haven't had it since, and I feel so much better.
Okay. Nina, years ago, there was somebody in my Shaklee downline who had a friend who had diabetes, and she was an elderly lady, and I think her name's Pat. And Pat's blood sugar was up and down and up and down, and she was on medication, but they couldn't get it regulated at all. It was just all over the place. And so she used the Shaklee energizing soy protein at the time. We didn't have the Life Shakes, we had Cinch, but she used the energizing soy protein, and it modulated her blood sugar, so she didn't have all the highs and lows. It still was fluctuating, but much less. And then when she went on the glucose regulation complex, it kept bringing her blood sugar down to the point where she had to, they had to change her medicine, really reduce her. I think she was on insulin. They had to really reduce it. So it worked really well.
Oops, and I think that happens to quite a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shirley, I see that you've unmuted. Do you want to have something that you have to say here?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be back again. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to thank you for sharing those. Renee, you undid. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. How does she take her protein in the morning? And is it just straight or with fruit, or how does she take it?
I try to mix it up a little bit. I use cinnamon sometimes. Sometimes I'll put a banana in it or a fruit. But I use that as my breakfast, because I'm not a big breakfast eater. So that's when I do my protein, and I do the energizing soy protein.
Oh, you do too. That's what I find to be so good for me.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. You do the energize. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is
Thank
very
you.
interesting that everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but that there's 2 of you on here, or 3 that do that.
Well, I'm the one that had 2 feet of my intestines removed because of radiation damage.
That's right.
And
yes. And I want to tell you that because of your story,
yeah,
shared that story, it's helped my brother-in-law.
Oh, praise the Lord.
That's why these things are so amazing.
How did it help?
Well, because you talked about, this is a while ago now that you did that.
Yeah.
But I told my sister that you have to watch that video, and she did, and she changed something in her husband's diet with the supplements, and it's made a difference. But he could never use the Life Protein, and I'm like, well, it's the best that's out there, and I couldn't understand why, but yeah.
Right. And the thing that's so interesting is that the energized soy is higher in calcium. And that is something that I really need.
Interesting.
So anyway, it was recommended by my nutritionist, and my body can really digest it. It loves it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions for Janet? Well, Janet, I want to thank you very much for sharing your story here. And as I just said to Renee, the beauty of this is that there's somebody else who will listen to this, because it will be labeled diabetic testimonial. And there's somebody else who will benefit from that. So thank you very much for sharing.
You're welcome.
So, okay, I'm going to turn that